Few genres in cinema are as closely tied to the idea of good guys versus bad guys than the Western. But sometimes there's a moment when the Western hero stops feeling like a hero, when they start to lose control, and we're left wondering, who are the good guys? From its earliest frontier stories to its modern films, the Western has built its good guys out of a particular mold. Quiet men, hardened by the landscape, defined less by what they say than by what they do. They're stoic, morally certain, and often alone. But the good guys of the Old West have never been about just one thing. It can be seen in their quiet restraint and their hardened individualism, but sometimes it's something much darker, something wounded, aging, even questioning itself, or questioning whether they can truly escape who they once were. Over time, the Western hasn't solely celebrated its good guys, it's examined them, challenged them, and sometimes even dismantled them, emphasizing not just their truths, but also the myths that surround them. Film historian Jim Kitsis writes in his book Horizons West that the Western hero stands between civilization and the wilderness, belonging fully to neither. Maybe it's in this not belonging where the lines between the good guys and the bad guys gets blurred, or maybe it's in the wanting to belong. It's Horses on Film. Howdy, y'all. Welcome to episode 19 of Horses on Film. This is the podcast dedicated to determining the top 100 Westerns of all time. We're using, of course, as our guide, the list put out by IndieWire in 2024, where they laid out their top 100 movies. From there, we're going to add, subtract, rejigger it around, come up with a list that we're happy with, and I hope one we can be proud of. So anyway, welcome, and thank you for joining us on our little trip through the American West. I'm joined, of course, by my co-hosts, Dave and Scott. Where's Dave? There's Scott. Hello. And a dog.
And a dog. Yeah, we've got a dog this time. Usually it's cats. We've got a dog this time.
Amazing. How are you guys doing?
Good. We've taken a little bit of a break because I was on the road. So
yeah, I feel it. And then we did a happiness patrol in there. I feel like we haven't done this for a month.
Yeah.
It's been a little while on our end. On their end, it's been 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly. If we're rusty, that's why. And so the last episode we did was for a few dollars more. It does feel like a while ago. It's sitting in 6th place out of 18, right behind Dead Man. And it has a rating of 16 out of 20 for an average rating of 4. Dead even 4. That's pretty good. And, it's a top 5 on the IndieWire list, so I could see it ending pretty high on ours.
I was going to say, I actually thought I like Dead Man a lot. I think my review showed that. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what I gave, but a few dollars more I actually really like too, I think. So this latest batch have been really good. So it's hopefully we continue that trend.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a John Wayne. That's what. So that's what it is.
That's how it is.
All right, are you guys ready to get into this one? This one's an Anthony Mann.
John Wayne is the Jared Leto of his time.
I'll buy it. Sure. Maybe I think he was a bigger star. He was a much, much bigger star than Jared Leto.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe more the Tom Cruise of his day, because there's a lot of people that will not see a movie if Tom Cruise is in it. So
yeah, 100%. I know a lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't really get the hate, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But I don't get the hate. I get the hate for John Wayne though.
Yeah, and I don't. I get it. All right. Okay. All right. Let's jump into the synopsis. Are you ready, Dave?
I think we are ready.
All right.
Put this up and hit some mood music. Heading east to Fort Worth to hire a schoolteacher for his frontier town home, Link Jones is stranded with singer Billy Ellis and gambler Sam Beasley when their train is held up. For shelter, Jones leads them to his nearby former home where he was brought up as an outlaw. Finding the gang still living in the shack, Jones pretends to be ready to return to a life of crime.
Yeah, Man of the West, 1958. I said directed by Anthony Mann. He also did Winchester 73, Bend in the River, which are both on this list. He did The Naked Spur, which is a pretty good one. The Man from Laramie, The Tin Star, Devil's Doorway, The Furies, which I've talked about quite a bit. And, he did non-Westerns too, like El Cid and a lot of noir. Very prolific, very good director. Written by Reginald Rose, who wrote 12 Angry Men, based on the 1955 novel The Border Jumpers by Will C. Brown. It stars Gary Cooper, Julie London, Lee J. Cobb, Jack Lord, and Arthur O'Connell, shot by Ernest Haller, who won the Oscar for Gone with the Wind. He shot it in widescreen CinemaScope near Santa Clarita, California, and Red Rocks Canyon State Park, California, also a little in the Mojave Desert, from February 10th to kind of mid to late April 1958. It was released in the U.S. on October 1st, 1958, where it was largely ignored by American critics. 2 days after its release, the National Legion of Decency labeled it as Class B for being morally objectionable
because of the scene?
because of its excessive brutality and unnecessary suggestiveness. I would say maybe the scene where they force her at one point to take her clothes off would maybe fall into that. Meanwhile, French critic, later renowned filmmaker Jean-Luc Godard regarded it as the best film released that year, writing that each shot of Man of the West gives us the impression that Anthony Mann is reinventing the Western exactly as Matisse portraits reinvent the features of Piero del Francesca. In other words, he both shows and demonstrates, innovates and copies, criticizes and creates.
What do you mean? It's obscene?
Yeah, definitely something that would not be seen as obscene
Yeah.
in France. Very different temperament over there, and very different.
You're reading it, and the minute you said the French director, I was like, "Oh, he had no problem with this."
Yeah, sure, he loved it. But joining us today, we have a wonderful guest, author, filmmaker Nick Smith. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and congratulations! This is a mighty fine show.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
That's all their fault.
Yeah.
They did it.
I don't have it backwards on my thing, so I can't do the pointy thing as well. So.
Well, when we're starting with the 100 best Westerns, technically, at least a lot of very, very good Westerns. It's not hard to enjoy ourselves along the way. So that's great. That's great. Yeah. What's your history with this film? Had you seen Man of the West prior to this?
I was raised on Westerns, and my parents would watch Bonanza every week. And when I discovered spaghetti Westerns, that's when I really thought they were cool. And I watched a bunch, but I'd never seen Man of the West until I got to watch it for this show.
Oh, amazing.
And I'm like, 50s Western? Come on. But then I found out that Gary Cooper was in it. I love High Noon. He's great in that. And then I discovered who the director was, Anthony Mann, and all the cool films that he's made. So I got a little bit excited.
Yeah. Right on. And Dave, Scott, you guys have not seen this one, I believe, right? Yeah.
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah.
You've given up asking if we've seen it, and you just assume we haven't now.
Well, I think we mentioned last time that you hadn't seen it, but it is a bit of an obscure one, and it was one I was very surprised to see on the list when I first saw it, because, like I said before, there's multiple Anthony Manns on here. I would say, some of them are more popular than this one. Some of them are more kind of regarded by critics than this one. I'm kind of surprised, but it does kind of hit some dark notes, some interesting notes, and some kind of interesting themes about this character who's turned his life around. He's tried to make good after being raised as an outlaw, but family's family, and sometimes you can't, you can't really pick who your family is sometimes. And
I like that it kind of says you can't really escape your past.
Mhm.
That was the theme I really resonate, because every time something would come up, and it starts on the platform when, hey,
Mhm.
do I know you? And he that was that was where when he gives the other name, I was like, okay, there's something here.
Mhm.
There and
Mhm.
that's the, if I can put two bits in already, is this film shocked me with how every time I thought I knew where this was going, it didn't. It really went,
Mhm.
so, except for the shootout at the end, which we'll probably get to later. I think that's probably the weakest part of the film, but the rest of it
Mhm.
is actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to read the book. I didn't really get through much of it, but it is, from what I read, pretty faithful to the book. And there was a few things that, like, I know Anthony Mann really wanted the singer to actually be his wife. He thought that
Neat.
that would ratchet up the tension of having to see these men, paw at her and stuff. I actually think it's better that she's not his wife, that,
Yeah.
he kind of owes something to her for nothing, like he's protecting her in as best he can. And I like the fact that, he reinvented himself in this little town, but he didn't change his name.
Hmm.
And as he admits to her, they all know his past, and yet they still trusted him to take this money to go get the school teacher. They felt he was the most capable in that community. I think it kind of says a lot to, the effort he must have put into turning his life around. Nick, did you have any kind of initial takeaways or anything?
Yeah, I had a bunch. There's a
Oh,
lot
good.
to unpack with this film. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. But as far as that relationship is, it complicates the matter,
Hmm.
of him being a married man. And that might be one of the things the Legion of Decency didn't like. That he had a, you know, he touches the lady's hand and things like that, which might
Right,
be
right,
shocking
right.
in the 50s, but they're nothing to us today.
They crawl into the same
But
bed
yeah, I
together
mean,
there. Yeah.
aside from that, it was definitely darker than I expected, and it's a little slow burn at the beginning.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, is this going to be the pace of the whole film? And then it picks up, which is great because it really brings you into the world at the beginning. You
Mhm.
get to know the characters before there's any, Western action or anything like that. The real standout for me was Jack Lord as
Mhm.
the kind of rash bad guy. That
Yeah.
was an amazing performance from him, and we know him from Hawaii Five-O. Before that, he was Felix Leiter in James Bond. So
Mm.
we've always seen him clean cut, but here all the bad guys are kind of hairy and grubby, apart from Gary Cooper.
Mhm.
And he's just a loose cannon. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, Goldie.
I also loved the turnabout. He forces a woman to strip, and then Gary Cooper
Mm.
gets him stripped as well. So we're going from
Right.
Yeah.
objectification of women that we're used to, with these 50s westerns, to the man being objectified. And that was a very brave scene to do back then.
That was a
Oh,
pretty wild scene, and you can
Yeah.
see it in the faces of the onlookers too, and
Yeah.
especially Lee J. Cobb or
Mhm.
Doc Tobin. He's just in shock, and he even says, "I've never seen anything like that."
yeah.
And it goes to show that, had Link stayed in this group and continued his life of being a bad guy, he'd be a pretty prolific bad guy, I
Oh,
think.
Yeah.
And
I
and you can see why Doc Tobin was so upset that he lost him out of his gang and was so willing to have him back.
you get this metaphor of like stripping down this person, literally in this case,
Mm-hmm.
removing and trying to get to the bare of what this was. And I could you see it, and it's like, you have the London, the Ellis, something else.
Yeah.
He's taken on this protective role of her, even knowing that
Really.
he has his family. And I think other more modern films would have played with this like love triangle-y type thing. He's like, nope, I got a family. And she even confesses in the truck wagon where she's like, I've been looking for this my whole life and I can't have it. Right. Like it's,
Yeah.
And it starts with the shoes comment.
Yeah,
I like the shoes. And she's like, that's the first time someone's ever mentioned something that wasn't like above the waist or something like that. Like it's
since he was 14.
She's constantly objectified by everyone except for him.
Mm-hmm.
For him, he's a protector. And I really like that role. And you have this idea of this man who's done so bad, and they really do a really good job of showing what he could have been, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But they through the scene with her, which is a rough scene, like legitimately for its time, I'm not shocked that the objective by the film boards and stuff like that, because it is a lot, and it's not. The movie is very morally gray, which is something I don't think you get a lot of in westerns. It's usually the good guys in white and the bad guys in black, and that's why I think the shootout really holds it back. It's necessary. It's necessary for the film, but I do think it's the weakest part. But I think it's saved by when he goes into his pocket and finds the money. That it's specifically him. It wasn't anyone else. It's him. Doc had the money.
Yeah.
And I thought that was incredible, like a very good way to end that. But
yeah,
fantastic.
that the town that they go to for the shootout at the end was, I think, my least favorite part of the whole thing. It's a very, and I know they kind of they really designed it. It's a little over designed to be kind of this psychologically kind of nightmarish landscape with these houses at all different levels and a very strange place. But I think the effect of going into this town where they're expecting to be this big bank that they're gonna rob, I think if it was a more straightforward town, if it looked like every other town, or like even if they had just redressed the town from the beginning, it would have been a nice bookend of like, oh yeah, why is there no people in this town? Like the town that they actually do the shootout in feels like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And
totally.
And it's not surprising that no one's there.
But she comments on it too, like everyone's gone.
Yeah, and I think if it had been a more straightforward town with a cute little church and a saloon and a hotel on the corner and just a real straightforward Western town, but it's empty. And the bank is this big bank with big front doors that you think, oh, well, how are we going to rob this bank? And it's empty. And then this little lady comes out of the back with a gun saying, everyone's gone, get out. It would have been, in my opinion, it would have been more of a impactful moment. And then it would have been a very interesting, High Noon-esque shootout at the end. The way they ended up doing the shootout, that he was hiding under the floorboards and they're rolling around in the dirt to, it didn't really hit like I wanted it to.
Well, so I kept picturing because we just watched A Few Dollars More. That's whenever they talk about the bank, that's what I pictured. I did like that. He even comments like, oh, so this is Lasso. Like it's not even like expectations. I think the shootout and the rolling around and that whole thing doesn't work because we just saw it with them fighting.
Yes.
And that ended with the clothes and the stripping away, metaphorically and physically. And to revisit it again, and then it's a Western. I don't think you need shootouts, but you kind of need shootouts. Yeah. So it's just it's.
Yeah, and he had to kill that gang for sure.
Yeah. We all knew where it was going.
Yeah. And then
but
to go back and find out that Billy had been assaulted, and just the level of anger would have been through the roof. And then again, Doc was kind of asking for it at the end. Like he really wasn't putting up too much fight. And then he has one hell of a log roll
He
down
does.
there. Yeah.
It's a long death scene.
It's a real tumble. It's a real tumble down the some good stunt work. But
I did really like the action, the fist fights, and even the rolling around at the end. I mean, it just seemed more realistic to me because, especially back then, they would telegraph the punches. Think about John Wayne. Everything is hard for Gary Cooper to do. I like that he's an older actor in this. He'd had a car accident a couple of years before this, so
yeah,
it's tough for him to get on a horse. It's tough for him to have a fight. It's tough for him to make these moral choices, and you really feel that. Cameron, you looked at the book. Isn't the character younger in the book, like 30?
Yeah, much younger. He was worried that he was too old for the role. They also ended up, and this goes against all logic and budget, but they shot it in script order, knowing that his health was waning and that he would be kind of slowly beaten down. Now, I've heard some reports, I don't know how true they are, that Anthony Mann was extremely hard on him and made him do take after take after take, especially of physical things, to try to like psychologically wear him down. It was a real battle between those two, and a very purposeful, sadistic kind of move by the director. I don't know how true that is. I only saw it kind of from one source. I didn't see it backed up anywhere, but if that's the case, you can see it. Like you almost see like Gary Cooper wearing out throughout this movie, and he's getting older and more beaten up and sweatier, and it really felt like they took, if they they shot it in order, they took advantage of that, and then all those action scenes and stuff, they're almost sloppy in a real way, like they're not as choreographed.
And that actually ended up really messing with my head. Am I the only one who saw the fight with the horses, and they're fighting against the horses and on the horses and almost literally under the horses?
Yeah, they were stomping around.
I actually thought he was going to push him under, and that's how that was going to happen.
Yeah, like I was terrified. It seemed so sloppy, and it seemed so reckless. And maybe it was just a matter of, well, it's the 50s, no one cares about safety. But that really just like that threw me for a weird loop.
Yeah, I don't think they had a health and safety advisor on this at all, and I don't think they had a representative of the American Humane Society.
OSHA wasn't invented till 1986, so they most definitely
did. It was definitely the that's the right word, Dave. It was reckless. I think it was reckless in the treatment of the actors, and it was reckless in the treatment of the animals. But it's lively, on film. It really pops, and it's really interesting. It's different from what we've seen so far. But yeah, it made me very nervous.
And it's funny, and Nick said it, like everything was telegraphed. Like you can tell what's going to happen here. Like it does. There is a gritty. There is, like you said, reckless. There is almost an improv feel to it that says, hey, I don't care what you do between this mark and this mark, but you have 47 seconds of your fight to go from here to here. If you want to roll to do it, if you want to punch and stumble to do it,
grab the tree and hit him with the tree.
Whatever you need to make it happen. This is just make sure you hit your marks on time. Kind of like a weird This Is Spinal Tap, but like really violent.
Yeah.
So like it's.
Nick, you talked about kind of how it slowly got going. Yes. I really, I've watched this a few times, and every time it starts, that opening sequence where he comes into that town, and it's this bustling town, and you can see that he's been out in West Odessa for a long time, and this big city is kind of intimidating to him. And I love the way he is afraid of the train. Like when the train comes in, he jumps, and he doesn't like the sound of it.
This is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, in the book they describe the stink of it. He can't get over how bad it smells, and it's the oil and the tar and the hickory wood burning smell, and he's just off put by all of this. And then when they get in the train, it's the first time I've ever seen and the gambler character even kind of mentions it, where they get like rattled around and he can't, like, the seats were so close together he could barely fit in the seat, and he kept hitting the guy in front of him who kept giving him a dirty look, and it felt like flying Southwest Airlines, you know.
I was going to
exactly. It's not my fault. The seats are so tiny.
Yeah.
It's very relatable, and it's very good character building at the beginning. I think he does something a good guy would do. He helps to hitch a horse, or
the ladder for the
the ladder
guy. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
a little bit of a. Does he go back and get the horse? Do you think?
No, I don't think he can, because when the cousin comes into town, I thought about that. I'm like, oh, he had to leave his horse, who was beautiful horse. Because when his cousin came back in, he said, they've got pictures of you posted all over town.
The marshals.
The marshals recognized you, and I don't think he can ever go back there. And I think he might even be hard pressed to go under the radar in West Odessa or Hope.
Good
Hope. Because they might rally a posse and come. Now he might be able to say, look, I killed all these guys. I rescued this girl. She can vouch for him. He might be in the clear, but I don't see him going back to that town. I didn't get that impression.
Where's the gambler?
He dies.
He got
That's
shot.
what I thought. I think
Yeah.
I missed it. I was for whatever reason, but yeah.
After the
wanted
fight,
more of him.
yeah, he jumped in and took the bullet.
that was a surprise,
Yeah, you're right.
Which again, one of those moments where a character is behaving a way a character has not behaved for the whole thing.
He talks about it too in his
He does.
monologue there. He's like, I don't know why, I just felt it this time.
Yeah. He just kind of felt like if that guy dies, there's nothing to stop them from killing me.
Yeah. No.
And Billy, and he just has this moment of heroic behavior,
Which is
out of character heroic behavior.
When they're digging the graves, he's like, we could run, and he goes, and leave her. No, you go, or whatever. Like
he has the chance, to run.
Yeah. And I think maybe I'm hoping that was the moment that he clues in and goes, oh, this is bigger than just me. Like, and that's now you say, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually really like this moment. Actually, and or maybe it's because it follows that fight, the fight where she strips it down. It gets overshadowed by that. That's how good that is.
Yeah, because we're all still thinking about how those pants just shredded to pieces.
Just comes straight off. Like,
what were those pants made of? They just
Australian Thunder Down Under.
Yeah,
you don't want to ride a horse with those pants.
Yeah, no.
Did someone order a strippergram? And it's the same idea. Yeah. That's what Goldie did in his daytime.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And while they're all distracted, the rest of the posse would rob them and take their belongings.
Let's talk about Julie London. Julie London, a singer. It does mention in the opening credits that there's a song, "Man of the West," where I have it here. Bobby Troop, who was a jazz singer, and he was Julie London's husband. So they were obviously going to have this theme song. It does not appear in the movie.
I was going to say, I don't remember a song.
There's no movie or no song in there. And the fact that she's a singer and is kind of talked about as being a singer, and they don't give her a moment to sing.
I think that could be a euphemism. She could be a singer. I think
perhaps
out there.
Perhaps, yeah, because there definitely was. They treated her as though she was a sex worker, and she even made a couple comments of like, "Thank you for not pawing at me the way everyone just paws."
Objectifying me, like everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very beginning, they were taking down a sign with her name on it.
Yes,
right.
And put up the new person.
At least in part, as a singer for sure.
Well,
she ran her tenure there,
and she even thanks the hotel guy for not being sleaze. Like, everyone else would have made a move, and he even goes, "Look, if I was younger, I probably would have." Let's be honest here.
Yeah,
but then I think her and the gambler kind of had a moment where they're like, "We can rob this guy."
That's what I thought was. That's why when when it becomes the train robbery from this outside, because that's the moment Well, him on the platform, given the wrong name, you go, okay, there's something here.
Mhm.
And then the blinds, hey, the signal goes, and I went, but him going like, oh, she could be your school teacher, and I was like, okay, cool, here's your mark. Here's
Yeah.
the Jodie Foster from Maverick.
Yeah.
This is your mark. And
Yeah.
then it just switches, and I was like, I was really like, that drew me in. One of the things I found on this journey is a lot of the westerns feel a little formulaic, like it's very
Yeah.
like, telegraphed. This one really, like I said, the bits that the shootout at the end is the weakest part. Not a bad part, not amazing, but like the film is so good, and it loves to linger. And it has this weird. David Fincher loves to linger on the obscene, and so how long the scene where Goldie has the knife to his throat is forcing her to do this and forcing him to watch her, because to them this is his wife.
Yeah,
they don't know
girl.
Yeah, and this is, and I'm forcing you, and this is really this is punishment to him, not her. She's just the tool, right? And I really like, and it goes on for so long, uncomfortably long.
Yeah,
like it's, and that's, and
it does remind me a little of Day of the Outlaw, where when they really get kind of like, in with the women, and when they are doing the dance, and you just kind of feel like they're in the tiger's cage with these horrible men, Whereas I was thinking, if you wanted to do a G-rated version, if they were having problems with the censors, instead of making her strip, they could have made her sing. And making her sing at gunpoint, where she's all nervous and trying to get the notes out without bursting into tears, could have been just as psychologically fulfilling a moment, I think.
Especially if you throw it at the beginning, something like, if we're not satisfied by this, we'll get satisfied some other way.
Right. So then she's like, oh, I got to do a good job, and that could have had her moment.
I actually think that's a good idea, actually.
But I was expecting her to sing. So, going against those expectations is very much what this movie does.
Right. It constantly had us on the edge of, we think it's going this way. And even just, we think he's going to get to Fort Worth on the train. And then, that gets disrupted immediately. And, they talk about Lee J. Cobb's character being this person in power that's slowly kind of going mad, and that idea of like a King Lear kind of, how people have likened it to King Lear. Anthony Mann has gone to that well before with the Furies and Man from Laramie and a few other things that are kind of like King Lear in the West. And when he passed away, he was really, working on a Western version of King Lear, and it was really going to be a straight up King Lear adaptation. What'd you guys think of Lee J. Cobb, the Doc Tobin?
I liked him. He was really good in the part. He's the problem, and this kind of went back. We mentioned earlier that he thought he was too old for the part. Cobb is younger, I think.
Right. Yeah. Like
right. They made him the uncle, but he was the younger of the two.
He didn't look it though. Like he looked like his senior. Yeah.
Yeah. They added a little bit of gray there, but
uglied him up.
Yeah. I did that too right before recording.
So.
Oh,
I didn't want to mention it.
Once I got past the makeup and the beard and all that, I thought he was great because he was so colorful. He actually reminds me of the villain from For a Few Dollars More, because he is unpredictable. He's a little, is he drunk? Is he a little crazy? He's bad news, right? He's a force of nature, but also he has this familial connection with Link. And, he's lost this son, and he calls him the prodigal. Yeah.
Right.
So the prodigal returns. What's he going to do? We don't know.
Yeah. And I love, even in that little, synopsis that we read off of Letterboxd that Dave reads so beautifully, the idea of what do they say here? Jones pretends to be ready to return to a life of crime. And I was never convinced. I was kind of shocked. Well, and I don't think the rest of the gang was convinced that.
Oh, not at all.
When they're on the buckboard there, he says, "You might have him fooled, but you don't have me fooled." But I was kind of surprised that Cobb was so, or that Tobin was so like willing to accept that he was back in the fold.
I saw it as a larger metaphor too, where not everything has to be, but like you got this guy who's like, remember the good old days when we all thought John Wayne was a good actor. and then, but the rest of the gang is like, that's not the world we have anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And they go, and you get that, and you can see, because I'm guessing, because they don't really, I don't remember them saying, but I'm guessing he met a woman and his wife, and that's what pulled him out, right? Or because I don't believe he left out of like, I don't want to be this life anymore. I think there's a different change in moment, and they don't address it. They don't need to. It's not important. It's just, I left this life behind for whatever reason. And you can even see as you get introduced to these other characters and all this stuff. Yeah, I can understand why you'd want to leave that. You're just looking for that life-changing moment. And it could have just been on one of their missions. He met a lady, and when she goes, "Oh, what do you do?" I picture something like "Oh, I'm a farmhand" or something, because he's so embarrassed, and it makes him look inwards to be like, I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to try something different. And you can tell with the rest of the gang that that's never going to happen. Like, that's just, they're so in that. And I'm wondering if Doc, there's an element of, this could have been me. I could have been gone, but I chose the path less traveled, and or currently still on, I guess, at this point. That's him looking back, or at that moment, or back to the good old days. And I don't know.
It could be too the like that King Learism too, where it's like these two cousins and family members are trying so hard to prove to Doc that they're the bad guys that he wants to be. Meanwhile, Link is that guy. He is that bad. He is that bad guy that Doc always wanted to take over,
and more.
And so he pushes back away from it. He moves away. He reinvents himself. But that question of like, can you really kill the past? Can you really change who you are? Is there a way out of this? I mean, even like his good guy move was to murder all of them. So it's sort of. Yeah.
At some point, that like most films, like that kind of like when you look at Heat, another man film, that's how the spoilers. It's how it ends. Is he even says like, look, this is the way it's going to go. Is you're either going to get me or I'm going to get you. We don't leave this life but one way, right? And that's what I saw here as well, where it's just like, almost it could be an element. Some of the Goldie's problem is maybe he wanted to leave as well, couldn't see the same avenue, and now there's a jealousy, there's a rage, there's Doc taking it out on them, all these things. Like, there's so much that I get his hatred for this person, and you feel it in the film, and it's really brought forward with the knife to the throat scene. I don't want to, like, it's such a, leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like, it's so well done, and especially for a film of this age, to go that far and that dark. I was shocked, legitimately shocked.
And Gary Cooper's character, like Link, he doesn't let him forget it. No, not once. He definitely, he's,
and in the film quite quickly reminds him, it's literally the next scene, pretty much.
Nick, did anything else stand out to you? The cinematography?
Absolutely, it's so pretty.
Oscar-winning cinematographer. And
it does have the great open spaces. And although we got issues with the ghost town at the end, that's some great set design as well. It's the set designer of Cleopatra, I believe. So imagine the sumptuous sets of Cleopatra, and that he's like, I can imagine him fighting against his instincts to really strip this down and make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, this is what I want to do. You have the budget for this.
It's a budget thing. Yeah.
Their hideout felt very claustrophobic.
Yes.
And there was, that scene where he goes into the other room and he has to like hang the little carpet curtain thing up to separate them. When Link and Billy are trying to sleep in the barn and Tobin comes out all drunk and in their face, it all feels very close and claustrophobic. But then we get out into these big wide vistas and some beautiful scenes. Now
there is great use of light, and it's what the sun is doing. It really adds majestic scenes, which are very different from those claustrophobic ones.
And the depth, that scene in the barn, the camera sits, and so you have him coming through like closer to the door as they're doing their thing. The camera doesn't move. It's a single shot as he's walking from the one to the other. It's an amazingly well technical. I'm sure it was crazy, but it seems so simple, and the simpler it is, probably the harder it is. Like, but you've got him here, and you've got that we always talk about a ticking clock. You literally see him coming. He's got the bottle in hand. This is not going to go well. You don't know how it's not going to go well. You know it's not going to go well, and he's coming, towards the camera. It's so well done, very, very well done. One of the more impressive shots I thought in the film. So,
what about music? Did you guys notice? I mean, I said the song was cut, but nothing about the composer really jumped out at me. Anything?
No, it was serviceable.
Yeah.
I'm glad they cut the song. Having not heard the song and having no idea what the song was, assuming it was a song for Billie Ellis to sing.
Yeah, and she does. She did record it. Julie London did record it.
Yeah.
And you can find it on her on her singles.
It was actually repurposed. I don't know if you guys. I looked it up while you guys were here. It was used in the cantina scene. Yeah, in Star Wars. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God. Okay.
Drink to
Sorry, he just had to squeeze in a star.
Mention it.
Yeah.
Well, it was released as a song, and it is called "Man of the West," and it is a beautiful song. But you're right, like the tone of it. I don't know that it fits. I can't imagine a scene where it fits, even over the final credits, which they didn't really have back then.
Yeah, like when you mentioned that instead of forcing her to strip, they could have forced her to sing. I'm glad they didn't, because I think that would have taken a lot of that cynicism down a bit. Right.
Also,
go ahead.
It makes the fight where he strips him not make as much sense.
Exactly.
Oh,
sure. Yeah, you'd have to. But again, that would be in the G-rated version. They'd probably have to do something else.
What you do is you shoot at his feet and be like, now you sing. And you shoot at his feet and make him do it.
Let's see you dance. Let's see you entertain.
How do you like being forced to perform for
Countdown races?
And then his pants fall off.
Yeah, and then his pants just drop, and there's a slide whistle.
and now we're in Blazing Saddles.
That's the G version. Yeah. The music was the most traditional element of the film. It was very 50s Western to me. I guess, the audience would have felt comfortable with that, but it would have been cool for them to have been as brave with the music as they were with some of the other things we've talked about.
Yeah. Especially, it's weird because we just went from Marconi to this, where like it's so maybe some of, if not the best Western music ever made, and now we're here. Really? And I was like, it's noticeable. Is the nicest way to put it. So
it's noticeable in its unnoticeableness.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is again, often the goal of a score. If it stands out. If it stands out too much, it could distract. And the fact that, I sat through this 3 times and then went, oh yeah, well, what was the score? What did it sound like? And nothing really like jumped out at me. But again, like we've seen it before with Tall T and a few things like that, where it has this kind of jaunty start and you think, oh, we're on this fun little jaunty adventure. And then it turns dark in ways you're not expecting. Yeah, I think that's kind of a fun, I appreciate that about this in the overall.
Sure.
Do you guys have any other takeaways or anything before we get into our counts?
I'm a bit surprised that Cooper never got into doing like the hard-boiled detective stuff.
Yeah,
Because
noir.
he really, yeah. I mean, this was film noir as a Western,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? And it's the fact that he never did a detective film that I know of is surprising, given how well he did this. Especially given, I mean, it was later in his career when he did it, but he was perfect. You could see those hard boiled. He was a hard boiled bad guy, a hard boiled cowboy,
world weary.
Yeah, world weary. It was.
Here's looking at you, kid, kind of thing.
There's
like
a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of story and a lot of script just written on his face.
Yes,
you know, like he's got an amazing storytelling face, and he can. I'm actually, I'm getting a very good appreciation for Gary Cooper going through these, because you know he's in a few of these, and some that I've watched just kind of around researching all this stuff, and you know, like The Hanging Tree. I think The Hanging Tree comes after this. And he doesn't do a lot of Westerns after this. I think he's starting to get pretty sick. At this point in his life.
And ulcers and various physical stuff. Yeah, it wasn't so much sick, so much as broken.
Right. Yeah. But just so much of it carries on his face, and it's just, I think he's an amazing actor, and definitely one of the better performances we've seen in the. You know, we're up to 19 movies, 19, 20 movies on this.
Yeah, I actually really like him as an actor. That's he's easily one of the standouts. And one of the interesting things I think he brings across is I can believe, if you had cast him as Doc, I could believe it.
Yeah, sure.
But here he is, the hero. But so when it comes out that he used to be a villain, I was like, I believe that. I believe that. And then you show me quite soon afterwards that he has it in him, and chooses not, like, you know, you stare at the darkness and you either, you know, blink or you join, kind of thing, like you jump, right? I most definitely believe Gary Cooper or this character. That's exactly what happened.
And I feel like Link Jones is kind of a man from another time too. You know, he's been the outlaw. You know, when he sees that train, it comes. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like the city. He's at the end of an era, and he doesn't fit in anymore. You know, that was a very interesting role for him. You know, it reminded me a little bit of John Wayne again in The Shootist. You know. Where he's kind of counting down the last few days of his life in a town that has, you know, electric light and things like that, where, you know, he was a gunslinger, and it's sort of over for him, you know, at this point, and you know, dealing with health things. Okay, well, let's get into our horses on film count. What one of my Letterboxd reviews, I just put, I forgot to count the horses, because I just kind of keep watching this movie, and I kind of get a little mesmerized by it, and I didn't take note of a few things. And Nick, where do you think this falls on our 4 scale of no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses?
Oh my Lord. I would say some horses. It's not about the horses, sadly. It's about the people. We go for stretches of the film without seeing a horse.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I would say there's like a magnificent 7 horses, maybe a few more.
Yeah, maybe for a few horses more. Dave, what do you think?
I had it down at a low end of a lot of horses. You know, they aren't as impactful. I can get behind some horses just as easily. We are very scientific.
I thought you needed a specific number.
There are no flaws in this system.
No, that's happened.
What you're talking about?
We had someone count the horses once.
Yes,
yes. Yeah, that has happened. So
yeah,
I would have, and I think, you know, obviously his horse at the beginning is kind of a plot point that he has to leave the horse and get on the train, and that's you know, he's so uncomfortable with that transition, and I think that's an important, you know, story-wise transition. then they're on foot. You know, the 3 horses to attack the train, 3 or 4 horses. Then they're on foot for a lot of it. They're in the cabin in the hideout for a lot of it. Eventually they get on the wagons. That's probably a mixture of mules and horses, and
True.
But they don't really feature them until they start fighting amongst their hooves, which is a little, as you say, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then the 2 of them ride into Lasso, and there's no horses there anymore, and
maybe it's that fight scene that is what has my brain thinking there was more horses than there was.
Perhaps, yeah.
Well, it's the Western equivalent of fighting next to the spin and saw, right? Like it's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
A piece of machinery that's going around.
Or like in is it A View to Kill? No, it's Living Daylights when they're on the cocaine thing and they're about to.
Oh yeah, License to Kill. Yeah.
Oh, License to Kill. Yeah.
I would even think about Dick Tracy when they're fighting and she's tied to the gears of the drawbridge, and it's kind of a it gets used a lot in movies where there's a fight around something that can crush or kill them.
It's just usually more controlled.
It's more choreographed.
More angled. Yeah.
You mentioned it here. The hooking up the horse, getting on the train, is that transition to which we later realize our character is doing the same thing, right? And there's a pushback to it. I don't like this, but it is what it is. And for the longest time, I see his character pushing back against being the good guy. But eventually, I don't like this. But eventually, he sees what it could be. I had it as a high sum because of the train, not the horses. Like, because that's the trains and automobiles replace the horses eventually, right? So you have this metaphor, and they've made such. Do you like it? No, it's ugly and I hate it. like in the picture, there was a lot of that when the transition was coming in, right?
That's right. They called it the Iron Horse.
Yeah. Iron Horse. Yeah. So
a title of a movie on this list. So we'll get to that one.
Cam, do you want to throw out your number on that one too?
I think it's some. I think it's some horses. I don't think I would go much beyond some. Just. Again, like Nick said, they're not really integral to the story.
No.
And they're kind of used sparingly. And so much of this movie and everything important about this movie is that they're on foot, that they're, it was a little bit convenient that he ended up back at where he grew up, like back at the hideout. There wasn't really a moment of, there's nothing around here. Where do we even go? Do we walk back to town? Do we follow the tracks? And he goes, no, I know somewhere. I know somewhere.
That was a leap. Yeah.
Them robbing the train there makes a lot of sense then.
Right. The train went right through their backyard.
When they get left behind, they're right there. And he recognizes, he goes, oh, I know where we are.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it kind of makes sense to me.
It does. It does make sense that they would have used that as their base and attack the train as it comes by them. It totally makes sense, but it was kind of convenient that he ended up there. How about ratings? Into ratings out of 5. What do you think? Let's start with Dave.
I came into this thinking 3.5, and as we've discussed it, it's eked up. Honestly, if we were doing, I would have said even 3.75.
You could do that.
But we've established we want to keep it on the half. We want to keep it on the letterbox ability there, right? So I'm gonna say 4.
Okay. Oh wow.
You guys convinced me to go up to the 4.
All right. Scott, what do you think?
I'm about to do something that I'm not a fan of, but agree.
Not happy about this.
Not happy about this at all. So the whole time I've been wavering between a 4.5 and a 4, and I honestly think the shootout at the end pulls it back.
Yeah.
Also, I've always talked about, would I watch this again? Yeah, I'd love to watch it again. I'm in no rush to watch this again, but it is one of my favorites that we've done that I'd never seen before. But I give it a 4, a solid 4.
That's brilliant.
4.25 if we're going to go with Dave's weirdness. So, but I think it's a really good. I really like Gary Cooper. I actually legitimately really like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go through my head. We haven't had him yet, or if we have, it hasn't.
Not
stood
yet.
out.
Not yet.
Yeah.
He's on here a few times, but that's
I'm looking forward to see. As the person who's probably seen the least films on the list, I was thinking about it because I keep relating to modern films, like stuff I usually watch, and then you guys keep relating to the like other westerns, and I think this is interesting. And I like it because when I'm like, oh, I like this scene, and you go, well, it's kind of like this film. I'm like, okay, let's jot that down. I should watch that film too. like it's so. It's a 4. It's a solid 4.
All right. Nick, where are you sitting out of 5?
For me, a 5, a perfect movie would be something like Sergio Leone, because it's funny, it's exciting, the music stirs me, I love the characters. This isn't quite there, so I'll give it a good solid 4. I had low expectations. It was a lot better than I expected. I really liked it, but I don't love it. So I'll give it a 4.
All right. Of the 100 westerns on that list, did you get a chance to look through the list? Do you know roughly how many you had seen?
Oh my goodness.
Maybe not.
Maybe 2/3 of them.
Okay.
I'm really glad you have my 2 all-time favorite westerns on there. You have
which are
Once Upon a Time in the West. It's amazing, and for a few dollars more, I think is a really cool western.
Yeah, so you're definitely in that Leone thing. I think Anthony Mann, Bud Bedecker, like they were big inspirations for Leone, and you could see a lot of the long looks, the long stares, and stuff that we get out of Gary Cooper kind of translate over into that Leone world. As far as my rating. It's funny. I always find that my Letterboxd rating is always different than my rating here, because on Letterboxd, I'm comparing it to every other film on the planet, and how this compares to 2001: The Space Odyssey, or Planet of the Apes, or Rise of Skywalker. So on Letterboxd, I give it a 3. But I think here, as far as westerns, we're talking 100, these 100 westerns, and then some. I'm going to say 3.5. I'm not quite at the 4 you guys are at. As I mentioned, I think they were very, very proud of that cool, psychologically weird design at the end, but it wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for more of a, like I said, just more of a straightforward town and more of a believable scenario. And I wouldn't have hated, instead of rolling around under the floorboards for the final confrontation, I wouldn't have hated them getting out into the middle of the street and having one of those kind of cliche gun downs. I think it wouldn't have hurt this movie that is already kind of,
I like it,
King Lear, having kind of that kind of more prototypical standoff at the end. I think had it been this exact movie and then had a little bit of a different shootout town at the end, I'd be in the 5 range.
Yeah.
Like everything, the jaunty opening, the turn. The other thing too was Julie London. I really enjoy in this, but I think she falls so desperately in love with him. It's a little 1950s. It's a little like I think had she been more concerned with how are we going to get out of this alive? How are we going to get out of this intact? Then I really like to be touched by you, there was just, maybe they trauma bonded.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But after being, captive and assaulted and everything that she went through, I just feel like the last thing she wants is to be near a man,
Especially she makes light of it so many times that it's such I've always been seen as an object, and then here she is like, treat me like an object, like it.
Yeah. So that was the only thing. Like there's a couple little kind of shifts I'd love to see to, really make this
The
something
interesting
else.
thing with your shootout idea as well is it would be cliche, but anything after the train robbery is so against the grain that a cliche shootout would actually feel weird. Like
Right. Yeah,
it would come
that's
out of
sort of,
nowhere.
it's
Doc
exactly
on
where
one
my head
side,
went.
Link on one, like draw, like it'd be almost a tone shift in a weird way. Like that it'd be so normal that it would be like, okay, what are we doing here?
Right, especially we've created these such unconventional characters and relationships that then seeing them in a conventional confrontation would have been, I think, very interesting. Again, against grain, but on grain. Yeah, that's sort of where my head was on that, and I could.
No, I think it's a fantastic idea. Actually, I think I would have probably given like 4.5 or 5 if that had gone that way. I do, and because I picture like it didn't, him standing over being like, it didn't have to go this way, and then I don't know, the money in his hand or something. I love the money. Doc being the one with the money was a big.
Doc taking the money. Yeah, definitely. Where you just, because you really do feel like when he has to take Doc's life, it's against all instinct. Even though he knows this guy has to go, he is a loving family member, and he really wants it to go another way.
Also, what outside of him talking about his life here, that money represents the trust these people have in him, the life he now has, and his old life. Doc is holding it hostage of all things, stolen. But like you get that whole thing as well out of just this little money bag when he puts it in his carry-on with the guns on top.
Yeah, he hides it.
You hide, but nothing hiding
over it. Yeah,
you have money for a school teacher, something that's harmless, something that's whatever, and then you have the violence of the weapons put with it, right? Foreshadowing the current state of American education. But
there's also an interesting moment when he's boarding his horse, when he drops it. He pulls it out and it slips out of his hand and it hits with a thud. And you can tell that there's $600 of gold in it.
Yeah. And the guy notices it too.
Everyone turns and looks at it. And it's sort of this moment of like, oh, he's got to be more careful because he's going to be a marked man. And again, that kind of jaunty opening, you're kind of wondering, oh, is this a sweet, townie heading into the big city to get a teacher? Is he a wholesome man from the farm? And then we find out later that he's got this dark past,
kind of like a Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven, where it's very, very similar actually. Now the more I think about it, where it's
definitely in that. And I think the very first Letterboxd review I gave of this, years ago when I watched it, was what happens when a killer decides not to kill anymore, like a quitter. And that was sort of and I hadn't really at that point I hadn't really dug into these westerns, and I hadn't seen that is a theme that does come up again and again and again, and Unforgiven probably does it the best. And there's other films where a killer decides he's not going to kill anymore. He's done, his killing ways are behind it.
Yeah. The redemption arc is one of the fundamentals of storytelling. And so the Western genre, I think, is one of the few that do it really well. Man on Fire is probably another one I think does it really well.
Denzel.
Tony Scott as well. Tony Scott.
Oh yeah. No, they definitely get that point across, that he's turned his life around. He's running from his past, and then he gets thrust back into it, and the only way to get out of it is to get in again, to get deeper
go
through it. It's really well done. It's really well done. So I think we're all in agreement that it's list worthy. It's of the 100 and plus westerns, it's going to be in that top 100.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Before the first time you watch this film, you see Man of the West. Did any of that give any indication about what you're about to see at all.
No.
It might be the most unassuming title to the most intricate or like psychologically deep movie we've watched. It's so just like
I did notice too that when you're typing in "Man of the West," a movie pops up called "Man of the East," which is a Western, and I have never seen it. It seemed like it was a fish out of water kind of thing.
So Man of the East is kind of like Man of the West, but kind of a mix between Man of the North and the Man of the South.
Well, maybe they should do all four. And
and when you put the powers together, you get Captain Plaid. No, okay. So.
Man of the Southeast.
Yeah.
But Dave does not agree. We're not going down that.
We're not going down to the Captain Planet route.
But yeah, like it is just a straight up like, okay, guys, we need to sell a Western for a nickel. We need people to go to the theater and get they went to town, they got an ice cream, a comic book, and they're going to the movies. Man of the West, perfect. But then it's not a popcorn movie.
I just picture like, come on, kids, let's go see the new Western. Just like covering the eyes, being like, what has happened?
Yeah,
what's a petticoat?
Decency.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't talked about much.
The other movie from the year. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah,
I was just going to say the one thing we haven't talked about much is the amount of baggage that Gary Cooper brought to this movie. Yeah, so audiences in 1958, they had an image of him in their brain as this kind of moral figure that always does the right thing against all odds from his previous movies.
Yeah,
and maybe it was a big surprise to see him playing, a more sketchy character,
like a Brad Pitt in Seven kind of thing.
Yeah,
or like Henry Fonda in Once Upon a Time in the West.
Exactly. Whoa, what a surprise!
Against type. Yeah, that's interesting. And then for him to literally be carrying baggage through the entire movie.
Yeah,
he's got his carpet bag valets or whatever they call it through the whole thing.
It's
layers.
Your filmmaking is poetry, beginnings and ends.
It all rhymes. And okay, off the list. Is there anything from off the list that you guys? Let's start with you, Nick. You're a spaghetti Western guy. Is there anything that was left out of this?
So many. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Where's the good, the bad, and the ugly? Is that on there?
It's on there. Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, thank goodness. I was a bit worried there for a second.
Very shocked it's not higher. It's actually shockingly low on the list. Wow. I mean, I think it's still top 20. But I was very surprised to see it. Do you know where it is? I think it's 18 or 19.
I'm looking.
Tombstone's on the list, right? Is it Tombstone or is it what was the other one? I can't remember.
You know what? Tombstone's on the list, but Wyatt Earp is not.
Wyatt Earp. That's
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is number 13.
13, yeah. I just found it, yeah.
Yeah, which puts it 2 above Winchester 73, which is the highest rated Anthony Mann.
Yeah, I put it up a little higher. Yeah, we were talking about that kind of the Old West transferring to the New West. I would put My Name is Nobody on there. With Henry Fonda. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
And outside of spaghetti westerns, I would like to see some Nicholas Ray. I'd put Johnny Guitar on there.
It's number 1.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
you were the first person to mention Johnny Guitar, and that's
pretty. So, what does that film mean to you? Why does that stand out?
It's just an incredible movie where we have these memorable characters at conflict with each other. The colors pop.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot going on. It's very eventful. So that one and 40 Guns, which is on your list, I saw.
Yeah.
Those are really good, strong female characters in those westerns.
Yeah, we've done 40 Guns.
Yeah, 40 Guns we loved. Yeah, when I saw Johnny Guitar as number 1 on this list, it was one of the main reasons why I wanted to dig into it, because I thought it's a fine Western. It's serviceable, it's interesting, but to have it as number 1 on a list that could have Once Upon a Time in the West or Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or some of these others, at number one. So yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned Johnny Guitar. I think that's going to be our last episode. We
I was thinking that, but also
we're purposely going to leave it to the at least to the 100th of the 100 on the list.
It's a cool movie. Is it the coolest movie? Coolest Western?
Right.
I don't know.
It felt very much like yeah, it's a Western. Yeah, it's you know, it's
I have a question.
Yeah.
Should I watch this now? Because so behind the scenes is I watch the movie week on week, right?
Yeah.
Should I be watching this before I watch all this? Because you guys are really like being like, this thing's amazing. I
don't know.
I think 99 other Western films and be like disappointed by this.
I think it'll be interesting to have 99 plus Westerns under your belt
in your head.
And then to see this and be able to say, is this movie better than all those ones?
That's not what I'll say.
Yeah.
What will end up being is, Dave was wrong about Unforgiven.
Yeah.
So,
I was just looking,
and that will haunt me until we get through Johnny Guitar.
You can't beat a fresh perspective. That's for sure.
I'm your POV. I'm the audience's POV character on this.
Man of the West is sitting on their list at number 24. So it's the second highest Gary Cooper, and it is right before The Tall T, which we've covered, and right after Pale Rider and Red River. We've covered Red River, but not Pale Rider. So yeah, it's sort of in that pocket, to be top 25. I think it could end up there. I'll say of a movie I keep talking about, I'll mention it again and again, The Furies, 1950, also Anthony Mann. I'm a champion of this movie. I really think it is a special movie, and it is King Lear coded in a way that this is too. And maybe, it's one that I'd love to cover it in a bonus episode. Other than that, nothing in this ilk kind of jumped out at me. As far as, I thought maybe Cimarron isn't on this list, which Anthony Mann did a version of that in 1960. There's an original version, which is one of the few that won Best Picture of the, when you get into the Oscar conversation. There's only so many Westerns that have won Best Picture, and it's the only one that's not on the list. So maybe Cimarron is worth.
What was the last Western to win Best Picture?
I think No Country for Old Men.
Is that a Western?
Yeah, and it's on this list.
Maybe one in the 90s. Is there another one that's really good in the 90s?
Well, there's one that famously Dave didn't like, but Unforgiven.
Oh, really?
Also, Dances with Wolves, which we all liked and is currently sitting as our number one. Nick, how would you feel if Dances with Wolves ended up as the number one on this list? Would that feel right?
That movie's got a lot going on too. So I do like the different perspectives it gives. It's not just the Western hero. You see the indigenous perspective. You see the Civil War going on. So there's a lot of different elements which are sometimes ignored. So I would definitely put it up there.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
So we.
Yeah. I actually, again, it was one of those ones where I thought it was going to be something it wasn't. I saw it as a kid, and I've revisited it a few times, but I was really expecting it to not age. I was really expecting it to look very much of another time and place.
Yes.
And it really is classically kind of beautiful. It really surprised me how well it held up, and how interesting and emotional and well made it still feels. Yeah.
I never felt like, every once in a while we'll watch a film on the list and I'm like kind of bored in a weird way. Like I'm like, it's not holding me. That 4 hours, we all ended up watching the extended cut. In the extended cut of this movie, they do include the theme song. But
I'd love to see someone do a fan edit of this and find a way to squeeze that.
Do we drink? You can't mention fan edit.
Yeah,
Cry Me a River in there.
Yeah, exactly. Where would you put it? Where maybe just coming out from the saloon at the beginning, like somebody inside is singing it while you're.
It's as he's being pantsed.
Yeah.
Man,
I couldn't find any information as to why it was cut. Maybe better researchers or someone could find that. Maybe if leave it, comment about it. But I couldn't find any reason as to why it went away. I imagine, there was maybe a deal made because it was her husband, where she was probably like, oh, yeah, you can have, the agent was like, you can have her. And if you get her, you get the husband and he can write a song for you. And it was maybe going down this track that Anthony Mann was like, I don't need this in there.
I feel that's probably close to true.
Yeah,
I wonder, because he's pretty set in his ways. He's a visionary, and he really butted heads with the writer on this. Any change he wanted to make, the writer was a very powerful writer and was up against him. And like I say, he butted heads with the cast as well. So it was, I think, a bit of a tempestuous making of.
Clark Gregg was adapting Chuck Palahniuk's Choke book.
Mm-hmm.
He once talked to the author, Chuck, and went, "Look, I'm having problems. It's taken me 3 years to go." And Chuck's like, "Don't follow my book. It's yours now." Mm-hmm. And it's the same with he did that with Fight Club too with David Fincher. He's like, "It's yours now. Don't." I started this, but you're continuing it. So to hear the writer and the director, like him to hold on to the source material so tightly, I don't know if that ever makes something this good. Usually you can feel it in the end product, but here it's like, I bet the writer really held on to that final shootout.
Maybe. I wish I would have made it further in the book, and I'll still go back and read it. It's called The Border Jumpers, which Mann did another movie called Incident at the Border, which I watched, and it's kind of an interesting thing about it's actually oddly very timely. If I feel like these border police disputes are kind of, they never go away, but it's about Mexicans coming into the US to work, and there's this legal path to do it, but then there's also kind of an illegal path, and that the police that are hired to be the border patrol and this clash, and there's some killings that lead to other things. Interesting movie, but I wonder if he was first drawn to this project because the book was called The Border Jumpers, and he thought, oh, here's a story I want to tell. But you don't really get the sense that the Mexican border or any border is really involved at all in this
like
game.
A state border or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it feels like, I mean, they're going to Fort Worth. It's very Texas, so it could have been closer to. I mean, Odessa is West Texas, but it could have been. There could have been some kind of border dispute at some point in there. But let's get to our next episode in 2 weeks. Guess who's back? Gary Cooper. We're going to number 20 on the list, 1952's High Noon, which we've talked about in the Rio Bravo episode, and we've talked about tonight here. Directed by Fred Zinnemann, stars Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. 85 minutes. And for that entire 85 minutes, it's a ticking clock. It really is the definition of a ticking clock. It's available to rent on Amazon and Apple TV. Not really streaming anywhere right now, but you got 2 weeks to find it. Maybe by the time this airs, it will be streaming somewhere. We're finding that is happening to us a little bit. But Nick, have you seen High Noon? Is that one you hold in regard?
Oh, yes. I love High Noon. And, I teach filmmaking, so it's one that I show my students.
Oh,
because the pacing is perfect. Gary Cooper's amazing. But really, it's the editing that makes it work. The way it's cut together. It's razor sharp editing.
Spoilers.
Great teaching tool. Yes.
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think it's one that, again, when I saw this list and I thought, oh, I wonder what number one is. And everyone says to me, oh, it's probably Unforgiven, or it's probably Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And I kind of thought, oh, I wonder if it's High Noon. Like, I wonder if any list would ever put High Noon as the number one. And the fact that it's at 20 surprises me.
I'd put it way up there. But
I would too. And I'm curious. Dave, have you seen that one? I don't know.
I don't think I have. I might have, but I honestly don't think I have.
I know the first time I watched it, we did a remake of it here in town with Tom Skerritt, I believe. I believe that it was a made-for-TV version of High Noon. And I remember when that was in the conversations on the rumor list, on the union rumor list, I was like, oh, I got to see the original. And I'm sure I saw it as a kid, and I'm sure I saw it on TV, but that was one that I watched at that point, which has been maybe early 2000s. And since then I've watched it a bunch. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But all right. I think that kind of does it for Man of the West. Dave, where on the internet can we find David Chapman?
You can find me all over the internet. Sundays, you can find me on Spill the Geek T at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. First Thursday of every month on Happiness Patrol, along with Scott and Cameron, youtube.com/@happinesspatrolshow, where we talk about things that make us happy that aren't Westerns. By the time this goes live, we'll be into our second season, which is going to be a blast. I haven't actually compared where we are when this one airs compared to what we're at, but we've got a great season. So definitely give us a subscribe there. And of course, in between all that, you can find me on my own channel, youtube.com/therathole, DOTCA. That's therathole.ca, but YouTube does not like URLs in their URLs. Scott, where can we find you?
Breakfast Scotch National, where every week, Monday to Friday, I try to make fun of the news. Canadian news. So if you're watching this in America, every once in a while you show up. The last one I wrote was about Polyvar was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Yay! So, oh boy. So there's north of the border meets south of the border right there. But that Pawn and Pixel should hopefully Happiness Patrol, as was mentioned. And there's a couple other things I've got in the works that Cam and Dave will help out with as well. Whether they know it or not, we'll find out. But beyond that, yeah. Nick. Where do we find Nick?
Come say hello to me at #NickSmithFilms or NickSmithFilms.com. Now and again, I pop up on Spill the Geek Tea, Legends of the Traveling TARDIS, and also my YouTube channel. That's Nick Smith Films. There's a pattern. But I have a new movie out. Please check it out. It's called Interior Hallway Night. It's on Fandango at Home, Amazon. It's not a Western. There are no horses in it. But I'm very proud of it. It's brand new. Stars Billy Zane. He directed it as well.
Ooh.
So let me know what you think of it.
Amazing. That's awesome. I had the pleasure of working with Billy Zane on a Western. We can drink to that. Drink when we mention that.
So much fun. Yeah.
Lovely man. And I really put him through it because we casted him so quickly that we were doing his work permit while he was driving to the airport.
Oh, wow.
And that was back in the day where you had to fax it to the government of Canada and then wait for a fax back. And somehow we got him into the country, and yeah, very lovely man. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward. I'm going to check that out. That's awesome.
Billy Zane was the bomb in the Phantoms, yo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did look it up, Dave. This airs in July. So talking season 2 Happiness Patrol, we'll have done Back to the Future, Labyrinth. We're going to be into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That'll be the next one. That's August.
Yeah. Okay. So Ninja Turtles.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
These sound like
so you could see the tone of that show. We did Star Wars in the first season, and yeah, we're now really shifting into just amazingly fun movies that make us happy on Happiness Patrol. So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you, Dave, for having us involved in that. That's so rad. As for me, I'm on letterbox.com as Cameron Chapman. You can follow along all the movies I watch, mostly Star Wars, often Westerns, and every now and then anything with Jim Henson Company involved. Definitely. Horses on Film has a letterbox as well, and on that we've got all our lists. You can see actually when this one airs, you should be seeing up to like our first 30 films, because this one's number 19, and we're kind of adding to our list 10 at a time. So if you want to follow along with us, some of these films are a little harder to find, so you might want to jump ahead and if you are following along, check those out. We're on, let's see what else, Instagram at Horses on Film Podcast. On that, you can watch our video intros. If you're only listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you get the taste of what the visual intro looks like. And we put those up the Monday before each episode airs. So those are there. What else we got? YouTube.com at Horses on Film is our main channel. There you can get either the video episode or the audio episode. But yeah, go on there and leave a comment and subscribe, I guess, if you want to follow us along. Horsesonfilm@gmail.com is a great place to send us an email and say, hey, Outlaw Josie Wales is not on this list. The Furies is not on this list. Send us your thoughts of any Western you kind of think we should cover, or you want to put on our radar. Maybe we haven't mentioned it yet at all. So yeah, throw that on there. Let us know. We'll do it. In the meantime, thank you so much, Nick, for joining us. This is great. I can't wait to have you back again and again.
My pleasure.
Scott and Dave, as always, thanks so much. This one got a little dark, and I was glad that we had a good kind of uplifting talk about it, because I was worried it was going to be a bit of a dark, moody episode when I was watching it. And there was one moment where I watched it and I kind of said, I got to watch this again, and I got to pay more attention. I know, Dave, you said you had trouble with one of the other ones where I was just like, because there was a line where he says that, that the robbery of the train didn't go well. And I thought, didn't they rob the train? And I kind of had to go back and watch it. And at one point my wife was talking to me and I just said, I'm paying attention. Hang on. I'm paying attention. Like this was one that I really felt deserved our attention. And it's not second screen TV like so much right now.
How dare you suggest?
Yeah, no, it really, and that's a mark of a very well-crafted film. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. And thanks so much. One last person to thank, Brett Alec Bailey, who composed our beautiful theme song. Always the best way to end an episode. So let's take it away. Brett Alec Bailey. Thanks again. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you in 2 weeks for High Noon.